Hello and welcome to the When We Cry Book Club podcast. I am your host Lorenzo, joined by...
Oh, it's fuck. This. It's my first book club.
It's Kyle.
It's me, Mushroom.
And it's me, Pokey.
Yo.
Poggers, we did it. Awesome. Hello everybody. How have you been? What's going on?
I've been fine. We will get to talk all about it. I'll hopefully get to talking about it this episode.
Yeah. Why don't you get into detail? What's good? Since the last time we talked, were you just like sitting in the room until we started recording today, or doing stuff?
Yes, in solitary confinement. No, in fact, I have started my internship in radiology. I've
Nice.
concluded the one in nuclear medicine and radiotherapy. Now I'm in radiology. But what I wanted to talk about is that today, this past week we've been cleaning my room and we found my old as time itself PS2, and today we decided, hey, why don't we fucking play the Buzz game like 10 years ago we used to do. So that's what we did today. The whole family gathered in the living room and we were playing the monkey Buzz game for the PS2. You know what I'm talking about? The one with the funny controllers.
Monkey bus game.
Fucking, I'll post a
It's
picture.
the one where the monkey rolls around.
No. Like that one game that had special controllers with like 5 buttons. One of them is a big red ball.
Donkey Kong Barrel Blast?
What the fuck? Was this an Europe thing? Here, I'll post it. This is the exact game. Like, there are multiple versions of it. Some of them are robot themed. This one is monkey themed. I know there are other themes. This fucking game.
What the fuck are those? Those are some fucked up looking monkeys.
Really? Is this not a thing in America?
I have never seen this. It might be a thing in America, but like, I didn't have a PS2 growing up, so...
That blue one is murderous as hell.
We did have this. It was themed differently. It's like that. It's that trivia game, right?
Yeah, but this one is for kids. Like, the kids' versions were... The version for kids was so much fun.
Got you. Yeah. No, we definitely had this, just not this fucked up version. Sorry.
It's
No,
not
just
fucked
kidding.
up, I swear. It is the best party game I have ever played. Like, every time we would go to a birthday party when we were young, everyone would have a different version of the game with a different theme. It was so much fun.
Oh, cute.
That's called a bootleg.
It's not a bootleg, it's official. What do you mean?
It looks so scuffed. I
Yeah.
don't even know what to say. Like, look at these crazy looking buzzers.
Yeah, it is. It does look like shovelware.
What the hell? Okay. Damn, thank you for desecrating my childhood.
Anytime!
Yeah, I didn't know this wasn't a thing there. Or, like, not as fucking massive of a phenomena as it is here.
Well, this was like cultural icon. Like,
If you've played this, tell me in the comments. Because I want to know where all my homies at.
That's such a weird apparatus. It looks like, something that they attached. It looks like a milking machine of sorts,
it looks like it doesn't come with a disc, it's just a plug and play.
No, it does come with a disc.
I would hope so. Maybe it's like the Switch cases where, like, you open it up and you think there's nothing inside because of how small it is. Like,
It always cracks me up how big the Switch case is in comparison to how small the fucking game is.
Well, it's all a marketing strategy, because if it was, if the size of the box fit the size of the cartridge, you would think, oh, this is a lesser game than this big fucking box we have, like, from the other console.
right, but they're still, like, thinner than other consoles.
It's not like small like the DS game cases.
Yeah. The DS cases were fucking girthy as shit to fit all the manuals in it.
Yeah.
True.
They're like, all of you need to know that if you have epilepsy, do not play this game. Like, in every game.
Let's just talk about board games for the next 2 hours.
Like, we pivot to become a board game podcast.
Secret Tea Party. It's just Lorenzo and a second recording of Lorenzo talking about this.
If Lorenzo wrote a visual novel, it would be like the god of visual novels, because he would just sprinkle like game board metaphors everywhere, except he doesn't restrict the metaphors to chess like all other visual novels do.
I turned the Candyland board around.
Yeah.
This is just like chutes and ladders. There's ups and downs.
Listen, kid. Life's like a game of chutes and ladders. You're gonna have ups and you're gonna have downs.
Oh my god.
Lorenzo, can you think of a game board equivalent for the puppet fell with has its strings had been cut off?
What's the game where you put like the
Mousetrap?
the sticks? Ah, Mousetrap.
Like a hungry hippo that's inner machinations have been totally broken.
What's the game where you put like sticks in the balloon until it pops or something?
Oh my god.
That's the puppet with strings cut.
Ah, damn! This is as if I've pulled the wrong Mikado stick and everything's fallen down.
Or it's like the thing where you're like, it's like the Kennedy like powder keg is just like you stab the sword into the pirate guy in the barrel, and whoever's gonna pop the barrel. Or it's like Jenga.
Jenga.
Yeah.
All of Ciconia is Jenga.
All of Ciconia is just Jenga.
I'm on my last Jenga wood piece.
Listen, this is a prophecy. When you pull this plank, I guess.
This log? I don't know what Jenga like blocks are called.
Legos. Imagine Lego Jenga. That's so boring. Like.
That's a very sturdy base, I would just have to say. Okay, who else wants to go and talk about their life?
So, I spent the last month just like every time I needed food, just flashing back to the time Keiichi almost burned down his house.
Why?
Because my grandparents, who I live with, took like an extended vacation to some of our relatives, and I can cook like exactly 2 things, and they're noodles and better noodles.
So just like Keiichi.
Yeah, it's ramen and fettuccine are my staple foods.
Ooh, fettuccine is good though.
It is, but they finally got back yesterday, technically the night before at like 4 a.m. But they finally got back and they checked their mail and they see that I have some jury duty summons tomorrow that I just didn't know about. Yeah.
That's exciting.
And so I see that, and I'm like, huh, maybe I should check my mail every once in a while. But then I then proceed to immediately go and watch a stream of a Danganronpa fan game.
To get prepped.
And then I like, something in my brain clicks, and it says that I've been watching a Danganronpa fan game to prepare for a real trial, and I cannot take that. That's so upsetting.
That is hilarious. Wait, just because you said jury duty, I just wanted to share this tiny tidbit. I have a pretty good friend who actually got jury dutied, and just because it's like he didn't get it in, I will tell you what case it is. It was the R. Kelly case, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, you should try your best."
The what? Is that
So R. Kelly is like this famous music artist who got basically was a repeated sex offender. He's like a really famous like rapper, and also had like basically a lot of sexual violence. And then basically and racketeering and all that stuff. But anyway, like this was like he lives in he's from New York City, and then he was he was going to be jury duty, called for summoned for this, and then everybody was like, you should do it. But then in the end they had to decline. I think they win for the first round of talking with them, but in the end he couldn't do it because he had school, and we were like, you should just skip school to go to R. Kelly's case. That would be so much cooler. Think about how cool that is.
That's a story.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? I think I got the story confused. I thought you were saying your friend was an attorney and they were called to defend them, but now it sounds like he was
jury duty.
He had tickets to go watch it or something.
Okay. That is what jury duty is, kinda.
Wait, Des, do you understand what a jury duty is?
You know what a jury is.
What?
I think it's an American thing, right?
A jury? Isn't that the person who judges?
So basically, they call a bunch of random people from the state and county. I think it's 14 people, but that doesn't make any sense because that could tie. They basically call a bunch of random people to oversee the trial and decide among quote a jury of your peers if you are innocent or guilty.
Yeah, so in America the judges system is very weird, and they just basically call random people to judge your case with a judge, of course. So they're just like, hey, Oh yeah, so okay, a famous R. Kelly song, "I Believe I Can Fly." Like that's that song.
Oh,
It's
like
R. Kelly?
the classic one, like the "I Believe I Can." That
yeah,
one?
right. "I Believe I Can
Damn,
Fly" was
what
made
the
by R.
hell?
Kelly, right? Am I crazy?
I'm so
Damn.
like uncultured in terms of Western music. So like,
Oh, okay, yeah. Nah, "I Believe I Can Fly." That's R. Kelly. Yeah, he's a repeated sex offender. Like
Damn, he won't be flying anywhere anytime soon.
Jailbird.
exactly.
R. Kelly has been put on the no-fly list.
Yeah, so in America at this, you will get random letters, and they will be like, your government wants you to go to jury duty, and and then they could decide to not want you, but like it's your duty to go. That's why it's called jury duty, and not.
And what happens if you decline?
Go to jail.
Get
I think.
arrested.
No, I think
Yeah.
you have to. I think you can decline, but they're just gonna. They're gonna. I think you're supposed to go, and they could decline you because like there's a lot of things that like you can go and you can be like, they're like, hey, do you hate cops? For example, like you can have jury duty, and they're like, we're gonna try a cop or something, and they can be like, do you hate cops? And you could be like, yeah. And they're like, well, you can't be on jury duty because you're already like impartial.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a bias. So like you could say some whack shit to be like get out of jury duty.
But do you put in like a letter so that you're eligible, or do they just actually just choose random fucking people?
It's random, I think. After you're 18.
Once you turn
What the
18,
fuck?
it's a free game. You just get random letters.
It hasn't happened to me yet, but it could happen at any moment, and I'm terrified.
Just like the draft.
That is so fucking weird.
Yay, Lorenzo's next.
Oh wait, am I next on the list? Oh, okay, cool. All right. Well, what has been going on with my life? Nothing much really.
Damn, that's so interesting, Lorenzo. Anyway, mushroom. No, I'm joking.
No, right. Like, I don't think there's much that's been going on with my life. Nothing exciting, nothing cool. Oh, well, we did have a ransomware attack at work, but I think I'd mentioned that before.
No, you didn't.
I don't
What was
remember
the
that.
ransomware?
A ransom? Did he just say a ransom?
Ransomware. So there's like this virus attack that, targets a company's like
Database.
the mainframe.
Did you hack into
Somebody
it?
hacked into our mainframe, and they were like, pay us a lot of money, otherwise your data's lost. But in reality, your data is already lost. They just kind of like, attack your network, and they demand a lot of money. So you were without internet for like maybe 2 weeks or so. It was really cool, except that a lot of the work that I do doesn't require the computer, so I was still doing work, which sucked, unfortunately.
It's sort of like what's going on with Kraus at this point in episode 5.
Oh.
Real. Ah, damn. But yeah, I was just like, okay, well, I guess I can goof around. But then they were telling me that, oh, well, you could do this, you could do that. And I was like, okay, well, great, awesome. No cool drama happening right now to me. I did play more board games, if anyone's interested in that. I played 2 rounds of Camel Up yesterday, if anybody's played that. It's like horse racing and gambling, but a board game.
Horse
cool.
gambling.
Horse scam, yeah. I just played him twice. That's about it. Nothing real crazy.
That's fine. You can be an NPC for this week.
I know, right? I just T-posed for like the past couple weeks.
I don't know if I am going to keep this on recording, but for I'm gonna graduate, and for my senior piece of my orchestra, I'm going to do an Umineko small ensemble, which is when I just get a bunch of people and we do a smaller ensemble of a piece of music you're choosing. And my piece of music you're choosing is Birth of a New Witch.
Yeah.
Which hasn't come up yet. So listeners, if you're reading for the first time, wait tightly for the best song you will hear in
Yeah.
very long.
Never.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
never.
we were trying to pick a lot of like different ways what we wanted to do, but and the piece is really difficult, or not really difficult, but it's pretty difficult on a string instrument. And so the composition of this is going to be 2 violins, 1 viola, 1 cello, 1 flute. So basically a string quartet plus a wind instrument, and then a piano. And what we end up having to do is cannibalize a bunch of parts to fit into other parts. So our friend, the cello player, is going to be playing like a harpsichord part and a bass, electric bass part, like incredibly cool parts in their piece. So and the reason why the string players were really excited to play the piece is because they basically said this is like Baroque track beat, and which is exactly how I would describe like a lot of Umineko music, was just like Baroque trap beats. And that's, we do have a set player, a person who plays set, because, you know, like only a set could, like, you know, really emphasize the cool trap beat part. But once this gets recorded by the end of the semester, I will share with everybody. This is why I don't really know if I'm gonna put this. I might cut this whole part out, just because then it will actually show like where I go to school, which I find kind of embarrassing. But
it's fine. You won't be there anyway for the next part.
True,
of your
that's
life.
true. That's true.
Yeah,
but like,
deniability. You're like, I'm not there.
it has it has plausible deniability. Yeah, but it does have my name on it. That's what I mean.
I see.
But yeah, for everybody in call, Birth of New Witch, it's gonna slap.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this, that, like, I am writing a play.
Whoa!
It's the one you sent, right?
I sent it in the Discord, and I wrote a play, and I submitted it to basically a competition, and me along with, I think, like 5 other winners, we got selected, and our plays, we're going to workshop them. A student director is working with each of us, as well as mentors, and it's going to be staged here at my campus in April.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And you managed to win and shove in
There
an
is
Umineko reference.
Umineko reference in there.
Was there
It's just a couple of lines of dialogue. Like, there's an Erica reference, like, a mystery such as this is trivial for Furuto Erica. What do you think, everyone? And I'm hoping I can get that into the final draft when it's finally staged.
Oh.
It's funny that it came up in, like, the episode right after, like, the Eyes and Jungfrau people show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Ooh, I see the play. It's 14 pages. I'm excited to read it.
yeah, it's really good.
Great. So, Umineko.
All right,
Umineko
cool. Yeah,
time.
let's get into the meat, the potatoes, the quick and dirty of it.
Let's go.
It's a pretty quick section, but basically, we are right after the window incident, right? There, I think Bella was explaining how Kinzo could have possibly exited the room while Natsuhi was also there, hence explaining the whole closed room situation, missing Kinzo situation. Beatrice on the game board is like, oh my god, you're my hero. Like, she literally lands in his arms and he like catches her, that sort of deal, all that like gushy shit. Then we have the Golden Land Tea Party situation going on. We like jump over and you see Meta Battler like discussing the situation with Virgilia, this like empty husk of Beatrice, and then Delanor, the newly introduced autism incarnate, comes along and joins our tea party, and they have a surprisingly like civil conversation about magic and how it's used and when to use it. They reveal the truth of magic in this like scene where they just straight up say magic is just a little lie, right? And Delanor firmly states that she is against all magic that is evil and used to like cover up the truth in like a, you know, in an unfaithful way. I'm not sure how to describe it, but she was just like, yeah, I can appreciate magic. It's just that I'm here as your opponent and I'm trying to like disprove stuff, and I fucking hate the lady I'm working with, aka Erica.
Her boss is the worst.
Yeah, that's really cool that we have after like 5 episodes of having opponents that are just so cruel and like enjoy being cruel, just getting Dlanor, who's just like, she's not fighting you because she doesn't like witches and she wants to kill witches. She's fighting you just because that's the role she was given. Like, she's the rules, and like the rules can be used to kill witches, but witches can also live in between the rules. It's just that she has been assigned to the mystery side. She's been assigned to fight the fantasy side, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah,
but it's cool that like, Dlanor can appreciate.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
This is my 9 to 5. Like, I get paid for this. I hate the lady I'm working with, but you know, this is what put dinner on the table.
Right, exactly. So they have their whole conversation about magic and like what it really means and what their stance is on this game board. And it helps bring close, or well, the battler becomes a little bit more aware of like what Meta Beatrice's true goal is regarding like why they're here in the first place.
I think it's interesting that Ryukishi, when deciding on what job to give Dwanor, he chose to give her, like, she's like a secretary. She's of the Great Court of Heaven. Oh no, the main inquisitor of the Great Court of Heaven, but she mainly does paperwork anyway. But
yeah,
it's
she's like a
interesting.
health inspector, but for mystery novels.
That's exactly what she is.
she's like the health inspector.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, because she evaluates whether they're in good health or not, whether they follow the rules and are in
The
good
OSHA,
health.
the OSHA of mystery writing.
Yeah,
True.
but I was gonna say, I like it that he assigned her to heaven, because we've always heard that witches live in the darkness, and every time we have an argument between Butler and Beato, they always bring up devil's proof. So like devil, fucking, what's the opposite of heaven? Hell.
Hell?
Yeah, devils in hell.
Ohio.
And then
Ohio!
Dwanor in heaven, because Dwanor is the rules, and then the devils who live in the darkness, just like witches, are in hell. It's a nice dichotomy.
Yeah, I think isn't also Ronald A. Knox actually like religious or something? Like,
Yeah.
am I crazy?
Possibly. I mean, he lived.
I mean,
you
yeah,
know,
he is
in the
an
times
old
where
dude.
everyone was Christian.
Yeah. So he's Ronald Knox was also an English Catholic like priest. He theologian and like, you know, like besides writing like mystery novels, like he's just a priest. Like,
Oh, that's nice. Then that's another layer of interesting reasons why Ryukishi made Dwanor be employed by heaven.
yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
I think it's interesting how, like, Virgilia gets along really well with Glenner, and they make a note to say that because, like, Virgilia's, like, well-mannered and, like, approachable and stuff, she has a lot of friends in both, like, among both the Courts of Heaven and the Demons. And then they're just like, yeah, no one really likes Beatrice. She's just so Beatrice of her. Like,
She's too whimsical.
yeah.
Beatrice is just the not like other girl, so everybody just don't know what to do with her.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Beato has that hot girl attitude.
They just hate to see a girl boss winning.
Sorry.
Lorenzo
Yeah.
just died. Lorenzo just blue screen just then.
I just got stupefied. Oh, girl boss, slay queen. But we move on to back to the situation in the study, and Erica is just, well, meta Erica. It's kind of a weird situation, but she is tormenting her pawns, basically, like Cornelia and Gertrude, right? She's just saying, why the fuck could you guys not like just prove that Kinzo exited the window and like blown open this whole closed room situation? So she's tormenting them. Delanar steps in, and just previously during like the tea party conversation, Delanar like confides in Battler that he kind of let him have this W, right? Again, he hates Erica, and she's just trying to like make things fair for like both sides, trying to explain the magical side of things versus the human side of things. And then they both get into the explanation of how the letter ended up in the dining hall earlier. How, if you remember previously, there were I think 8 people in the dining room. There were like the servants and other people outside, and there was a knock at the dining room door, but nobody can explain how or why the witch letter got there for them. So they go into it. They go in a whole back and forth on how, well, you know, somebody could have dropped it. Maybe they like left it on a dining cart and it fell, and thus it got delivered to the recipients.
did mental gymnastics of this scene. God fucking damn it. She comes up with like 50 different explanations, and each of them is worse than the last.
Yeah, right. It's just like somebody fucking just dropped the letter. It's fine, right? Just go with it.
Maybe it
Don't
was on
worry
the
about
ceiling and no one just looked up.
I know, right? It was so stupid. Somebody played a recording of somebody knocking. It wasn't actually a knock.
There's a pillar on the second floor that if you hit it in the right way, it transmits down the wall into the floor below and sounds indistinguishable from a knock.
Right. So they basically did a pretty good job of like explaining like no matter how far-fetched you could explain something, there's always like a counter to it, and that honestly I don't really know what they were trying to get at here, but you know, they try to poke so many holes in like the explanation of the mystery, but it just kind of turned into this like, honestly I would tune it out if I heard somebody talking debating like this.
Yeah. It is the kind of argument you would usually hear from the start of the question arcs, where Butler, it was just a free-for-all, Butler would come up with the stupidest shit. But now we're in the answer arcs, and you start realizing there are rules to the mystery. So
Right.
This doesn't feel like an answer arc argument. So it kind of goes to show how petty Erika is, that she's coming up with like all of these different convoluted explanations.
I mean, I don't know if it's... she comes off as more like desperate than petty, because she just lost the last round with Battler. And we see how Berncastel is like treating her when she loses. And they actually say, like, hey, if you let me down again, like, hey, you're just gonna get left in like the great peace box in the sky, and we're never gonna give you another turn. We're just gonna forget about you.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think she's just like, man, that's horrific.
Yeah.
I'm really gotta step up my game here, and then proceeds to not.
You cannot figure out this knock in this letter for the life of her.
Clearly, Erika does not know the one who knocks.
I just meant it more like when you trust the mystery to be a good mystery, you don't even propose those explanations, because that would make it a not good mystery, because there haven't even been clues about a pillar in the second floor that makes a different sound or something. But Erika doesn't respect that, though. She doesn't believe Erika to like be able to produce a good mystery, so she's just throwing out stupid shit. Well, I guess random bullshit go.
You don't remember that one chapter in EP3 where they talk about the column that you can hit? That's clearly foreshadowing for the fact that it sounds like a knock.
So we move on to the next section of the story where Beatrice on the game board and like her demons, they have moved the bodies. Are trying to like assist Natsuhi in like, you know, averting or keeping the magic alive, so to speak. But now everybody else on the island are like pointing fingers at her. They're saying like, you've been acting really sussy, Natsuhi. What the hell's your like deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, I can't handle this. I gotta go. And I'm gonna go back to my room. And she leaves, but she is actually heeding the instructions from the man from 18 years ago who like threatened her over the phone and told her to hide. Otherwise, you know, Kraus would be in danger.
No, he actually, that's actually, he told her that whether she won the game or not, she would release Kraus anyway, but not he's going along because she just fears that the man will not keep his word and kill Kraus anyway if she doesn't do what he says.
Right. So she heeds his instructions and goes to hide inside this closet. And she's like, well, this is nice. This is cool. I guess all I have to do is just sit inside of a closet. And then she sees a murder, witnesses a murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that?
I know, Hideyoshi just goes inside. He's like, I'm going to go rest. Actually, I'm going to go get killed. And then he gets killed. And everybody's like, everybody runs into the room. They say that they had to, like, you know, cut the chain lock open, and they discovered Hideyoshi with a demon stake in his back, and they're like, what the hell happened? And Natsuhi's just like, I know nothing. I was simply just going to my room. And she gets caught out by Erika, who like questions her a little bit, but she just like feigns ignorance. And then we just jump back to the tea party where Virgilia and is telling Beatrice like, hey, we're getting close to like getting what you want, right? Are you ready to like quote unquote die? And that's basically where our summary ends. Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about that was like non-spoilery? Or
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So, where to even start? The there's a part of the narration where the narration just goes like, well, it's not like I will let everyone live that long, giggle. And I guess it makes sense that Beato is the one narrating the story, but I just never thought of it that way.
I think that's Lambda narrating that because she's writing this game.
Oh, could also be.
And that's a very Lambda chorus thing to say.
I don't know, it also comes across as Beato. But I guess if it was Beato, instead of giggle, it would say cackle, and then hahaha.wav would play.
Ryukishi really does switch the narrator a lot without warning.
Yeah.
But that's usually clear, because like there's this scene where it swaps to Natsuhi narrating, but then you're already following Natsuhi, so you understand now it's Natsuhi narrating. I think Ryukishi does a good job at like portraying who's narrating.
There's the scene where Erika just like in the middle of dinner just like slams on the table, stands up, and it's like, I figured it out. You didn't jump 30 feet down and just like take no damage.
Water bucket clutched.
Water bucket clutched.
And everyone's like, uh-huh.
Like, no. The best part about that scene is when, like, literally, like, in the, like, narration, they're like, yeah, and everybody in their room knew that there was no way that, like, Ballard could have done it. And, like, not done it gracefully, basically. It's like, oh, like, his knees hurt, and, like, you know, of course, like, he got his clothes dirty. It's, like, just Erika being like, and then this is how you did it. It's like, yeah, sit down, lady. This is, like, a Wendy's, like, chill the fuck out.
The illusion of you jumping down from the window is destroyed. And Game Boy Battler's just like, that's not the argument. Kid, that wasn't what we were talking about. Like, I still won the argument.
Yeah, she was having a bathtub argument, except IRL.
So it's the mind fight video.
And then nobody addresses it afterwards. They're all like, did that really happen?
No, she literally, like, calls out to the skies and is like, my master, what do you think? And then lightning strikes, and, like, everyone's like, what the hell?
And Erika is back to normal.
Nom.
Chopsticks really are the best, aren't they?
Just the most well-adjusted human being that could be.
One of the most adjusted people of all time.
Most normal Erika behavior.
So, just to pivot from Erika for a little bit, I just do want to talk about the whole scene with Delanor and like the scene with Battler, and just them talking about like, oh, magic is a lie. Like, you know, I think like Umineko spends a lot of time in the beginning, like obfuscating ideas like, what is magic? What could it be? And then in EP4, they basically kind of just lay it all down. It's like, this is what magic is. But like, you know, just for like Umineko EP5, like Ryukishi's like, yep, this is magic. Magic's a lie. Now you get it. Like, but like, you know, do you really want to like, you know, poke the paper window like out? Like, it's really nice. Like, I find this chunk really good, and you know, it also makes a really good scene because she's just like such a likable character, like comparison to, you know, Erika, who's just unhinged and awful.
I wanted to talk a little bit about their reference to Nox's ninth. The ninth it's not, the Umineko version hasn't been revealed yet, but the ninth is about the Watson.
Ah, yeah.
And how the Watson, if the story has a Watson, they don't need to have a Watson, but if they have a Watson, they must not hide any of their thoughts from the reader, and they must, their intelligence should be slightly lower than that of the average reader. Basically, in Umineko, everyone can be a Watson, and that's the point of this reference to Nox's ninth, is with the T-set, and Virgilia presents it as using magic, but what happens in the shadows could be anything, which is sort of the reason for that their intelligence must be at a certain level thing, because it leaves room for interpretation. Like, the Watson isn't going to solve the mystery. You as the reader have got to do it.
I'd like to see a mystery novel where you follow the Watson and the detective just, like, comes out of left field with, like, it was the butler. It was the butler? Yeah. Were you not following along? My guy, we just walked in the door.
They do have that. Have you ever seen, slightly off topic, have you ever seen those like baking murder mystery books at like Barnes and Noble or whatever? So they're like
murder mystery?
Yeah, there's like some that's called like key lime pie murder or chocolate chip cookie murder. If you look for them, you'll find them. I'll look for the lady's name, but essentially the main character is just talking about like all this food that she bakes, and it's like interspersed with actual like recipes. And then in the background, just a murder is also being solved. Like, oh, so and so found like this piece of evidence. Oh, so and so like found out that they were the murderer. Oh, there was this huge fight scene. And anyways, this is how you make chicken piggies. Go ahead, and we should do a book club on that. Honestly, you could be like, oh, okay.
That sounds like it would do really good as like a YouTube skit. Of just like a cooking show that the show must go on. There's like literally like some guy who gets like punched through her window and like held at gunpoint, and she's like, and now let's put it in the oven. Like,
Real.
It's like too many cooks, but not really.
Cooks, we gotta kill them off one by one.
Where it just never acknowledges what's going on.
But yeah, they do exist. It is a bad mystery book, but it's very entertaining. And there's like 30 of them. It's crazy.
Oh, damn. But yeah, still related to Dwanor and Bator in the gazebo. Where in the actual fuck does that scene take place in the timeline? Because Bator only joins the game after Erika points at Natsuhi and says you're the culprit. That's where the episode started. That's when Bator stepped in and started watching the game. So
I think they're playing the entire game on repeat. Like, they're like, okay, we'll watch the whole season to catch you up for the next episode.
But the scene happens outside of the recap. It happens on the gazebo where Bator, Vergilia, and Beato
Yeah, he
are.
goes back. He's taking a break.
I think they actually say later in the chapter that Bern and Lambda were taking a short break, like in the scene with Beato and Vergilia.
Yeah, I think it's in the narration.
So they might have just been taking another break.
But even if they take a break, that means Dwanor is in the middle of the game after she loses against Game Board Bator, or I guess pseudo metal layer Bator. She goes to the gazebo and chats with a Bator that still hasn't even picked up the current Game Board and discusses their battle with him, and he seems to be aware of that battle happened and what happened in the battle.
No, I think we're all of what we're watching is the replay. And so she just doesn't do it until Battler is aware of what happened. We can talk about it in the spoiler section.
Okay, yeah. Then let's leave it to the spoilers.
I also have a interesting thing I picked up on in this scene, but it's also spoilers, I think.
Okay, then let's leave it all to spoilers.
Yeah, why don't we? So if you haven't read past this part, please tune out.
Wait, I still have a spoiler-free part.
Oh, never mind. Go for it.
I was just gonna say that it's interesting because the way the last chapter we're covering ends, because it ends with Beatrice, it is time for you to die now. I hope that your heart is stopped by the hand of the person you desire. And I think this is really interesting, and it's not salty and sweet, bittersweet. I think it's bittersweet. it's bittersweet because Beato cannot choose but to die. She either dies from boredom if Bator doesn't solve it at the end of DCP, or she dies at the end of Bator if he solves it at the end of DCP.
Or he dies from, like, if Erika solves it or something.
Or Erika, yeah. Yeah, because since the question arcs, we've known that Beato is fighting an uphill battle, and because she herself says this is mutual torture. But now we're seeing it happen it will happen. We know that it will happen, be it by the hand of Bator, Erika, or Beato herself. Beato will die at the end. She's finally approaching the end.
The EP is literally called End of the Golden Witch. Like,
I also had something about the, basically when Vergilia is talking to Beato alone at the end of this segment. And she talks about how Battler will wander around forever but never find the bluebird, and I believe that's a reference to a fairy tale.
Tiltil my mind.
What?
Tiltil my mind.
Yeah.
Tiltil.
It's brought up in EP4.
It's brought up in EP4. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
happiness of Bluebird. It's the story that Maria tells AJ about, and she's like, "Wow, you're so stupid. Just find the Bluebird is with you all along."
Yeah, I forgot about it being in EP4, but I do know about it through, I think it's the same one that's referenced in Zero Escape 2 and 3.
Yep.
Visual novels and their go-to
Yeah, and how
references.
there's two different interpretations of the ending. one where like they returned home and the bluebird was there because happiness is like you don't have to go wandering to find happiness. It was at somewhere close all along. But then in the original version, apparently the bluebird just flies out of the cage, representing that happiness can never be found, no matter how close it appears. So,
What a wonderful moral.
yeah, two different versions of the story.
So there's a scene in this chapter about how, I think Virgilia's saying it, about how, I think it's at the very end of the chapter, where she's talking about how Beato brought in Lambda and Burn allegedly to like force Battler to step up and kill her. And I think that's really interesting because it was just it was two episodes ago, not EPs, episodes, that we had like the Warring Kingdoms reference, or the Three Kingdoms reference.
Yo, Ciconia?
Ciconia. Where Beata, I don't know anything about the Three Kingdoms lore, but she was like, yes, it's like the Three Kingdoms. Who won that again? and I legitimately don't remember who. It was like some newcomer who just came in randomly, which is the opposite of what's being said here. Or no, the point of that one was that it was like people that were invited in by one of the kingdoms, which is a reference to the Voyager witches. Well, I mean, Warring Kingdoms was not Three Kingdoms was not referencing Umineko. I should not have to
explain
Which
that.
came first, the Three Kingdoms or the Umineko?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that they're talking in earlier in this episode about how newcomers came in from outside the board and took over their kingdom of the game board. And then at the end of this part of the chapter, they're like, they were invited in to motivate Battler to kill you. I just think that's kind of just 5D chess in a sense.
Oh, does that mean that Beato expected Butler to fail miserably?
Probably.
And then for Lambda and Bern to take over and make Butler feel left out of like his own game?
I don't know. Honestly speaking,
Did
like,
Beato expect this to happen?
I don't really like the conceptual idea of being like, oh, and Beatrice planned this all along, kind of.
No,
deal.
I'm not
like,
saying she planned it. I'm saying this was her plan B in case Butler failed miserably.
yeah.
That's basically what Virgilia's saying.
Do we still have more things we want to talk about the non-spoiler section, or this is the end of the thought process?
I think this is the end of the spoiler-free part.
Probably.
Okay,
Right.
Lorenzo, lead us into the spoiler section. Please.
I think at this point, I said it before, but if you're like this far into the story, I think you've probably read all of it by the time we've like recorded this. But
We
if
are
you
taking
haven't,
a really long time to record these. That's very true.
exactly. So if you have not read this, please kindly GTFO, for lack of a better word. And we'll see you next time now. Let's talk about spoilers. What's so spoilerific about your insights?
Beato dies. Editing Des here, dropping from the heavens to inform you that as Corey was on this episode, they did participate in the episode, they did record with us. However, Premiere, for some reason, kept choking up on their recording. Premiere wasn't processing their recording specifically for some reason, so they basically got, unfortunately, yeeted out of the episode. However, on this spoiler discussion, they were the one who like resumed the conversation about where does Butler X Banner conversation Peace Treaty happen in the timeline. But because I can't use their recording, the dynamic of the episode was kind of weird. Like, I couldn't just drop the conversation in the middle of it without actually explaining what we were discussing. Otherwise, it would get very weird and confusing. So this is what this disclaimer is doing, is informing you that's what we're doing at the beginning of this power discussion. We're resuming that specific argument. So you think this happens... He's reading it on the gazebo and not on the meta smoking room that one day...
There's also the fact that this is a story where you can give someone memories of an event or a tale just by handing them like a shining fragment or something. So it could have been that he just like took it with him as he was going back, or that he watched up to the point that we've read, or up to a little bit later and then went back. because Delanor was invited in. It's explicitly stated that she had to have been invited to come here, and later in, I think it's our confession, this is expanded upon.
It makes sense that Beato would want Dwanor to come because it really steps up the argument. Steps up, god damn it, the argument. Because the arguments up until now have just been revolving around things that Nox just denies at the start, so they can have an actual meaningful battle.
So I noticed something while I was reading the start of this chapter that has a few holes in it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Is that characters like relationships to Dlanor kind of like mirror their relationships to mysteries in general, because Virgilia equals Kumasawa, and she's like, ah yes, we've had quite a few chats in the past. I'd love to discuss like interpretations with you again, because she's like a veteran mystery reader. You have Erica, who is the detective. She like kind of sees solving mysteries as a tool for her to like feel superior. And she sees Dlanor as just a emotionless murder doll.
And she's her subordinate, so that makes her feel superior too, yeah.
Battler, like, first sees Dlanor and thinks her rules are, like, pompous and overbearing and stuff, and that you can't just decide there's not a secret passage just because you didn't, like, just because it's a mystery. That's complete BS.
That he comes to understand the need for Dwanor, yeah.
Yeah. Which can, more in this case, that is just representing him growing to trust that Beato is a trustworthy author. The only major hole I find in this is the fact that Beatrice herself doesn't know Dlanor.
Well, actually, I since you have explained it that way, I actually have a thought about what Beatrice's relationship with Dlanor is. So, Beatrice or Sayo's like relationship with mystery novels greatly changed throughout the years. You know, she originally see it as like, oh, these are my best friends and I really like them, and you know, I gain a lot of fun from reading them. But then later on she decides to be like, I will now write mysteries without explanations, and they will become magic. And that makes her, you know, have her relationship sours with Eleanor in the way that she's like, well, like, and I think that, like, it's interesting because, like, they could, it's funny because, I guess, like, it's weird that she doesn't know Eleanor. That's kind of weird. I guess, like,
but
that's the difference of the saying.
Where does your idea that Saya started writing mysteries without answers come from?
EP7.
It comes. Yes,
I think
it's in not like in
without
confession.
Answers.
Well,
I think
no,
she was
answers.
writing the mysteries like to plan out that if she were to do any of these possible scenarios, she was planning out the logistics, so she would have to think of a solution because that's what she would be doing.
Well, not without answers, as in without explaining her answers. Like, for example, like, as in, like, that's like the same idea as writing the writing the bottles. Like, the bottles don't have the answer in the end of it being like it's like a mystery story. How in the mystery story in the end, some detective comes out and be like, "This is how I did everything."
So the people who read it don't have the bit at the end of the detective.
Read it don't have answers. Not that she didn't think of answers to do it.
Yeah, that's actually like they give the example in Then There Were None where, like, if there wasn't the ending chapter, that no one would ever know who the culprit was, and everything would just fade into the darkness of a witch did it.
But where does your ideas come from that the Beato doesn't know Dlanor?
Because in EP5, they're literally
it's
just
right
like,
here.
Beatrice, I've heard a lot about you, but this is our first
Which
time
is then
meeting.
retconned in our confession, where they do meet.
Is that not like the new Beato?
No, because that was the explanation, a retconned explanation for why Dolinar was invited into this world, where they literally meet while she's writing a story, one that never gets seen.
I see.
I think a lot about Yuikishi writing our confession and editing every single side story in Saku, and I wish he didn't write them. Yuikishi, don't write more stories to Umineko. Thank you.
No, but wait, that makes sense, because if Sayo was still if Sayo was still writing it, she was still Sayo. She hadn't become Beato yet. So that's her first time meeting her as Beato.
Oh, that could be, because Dolinar greets Virgilia as Beatrice.
I've got it. No, I got it. in EP6, Canon tells like the chick Beato that the witch is not the one who solves the riddles, the witch is the one who makes the riddles. And so Beatrice, the witch who makes the riddles, does not solve mysteries. And so she doesn't know the rules, like she knows them, but she's not acquainted with the rules you would use to solve a mystery.
Yeah, but Dolinor's already been long invited by that point. They've met.
Yeah.
It could be that she was just like by her own spontaneous ingenuity, her general guidelines of what makes a mystery fair or not just coincide with Nox. But then if Vergiria does know about Nox, and whenever she writes her funny little mysteries she uses Nox, hence why Donner knows her, I would imagine that would be one of the things she would tell Sayo about.
No, I'm imagining Sayo knew about Nox, but because she was writing the mystery, her character that's writing the mystery does not need to have met the tools to solve the mystery, because that's not her job in the story.
I mean, okay, this is my, after hearing everybody's thoughts, this is my new theory. My theory is that Sayo, Claire has met Delanor, or whoever is the previous version of Beatrice, of Sayo's personality, has met Delanor, but Delanor has never met this Beatrice. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
I agree with that.
So literally my point. Okay,
Yes,
I
exactly.
agreed with your point. I just
yeah,
disagreed
agreed
that
with your point,
Sayo
Gus.
didn't know who Nox was.
This is where we just start arguing and ripping each other's face off.
You know what? I'm gonna take the initiative and move on to talking about something else about Dolinor.
You know what? Fair enough.
Okay.
We mentioned it a little bit before about how Dolinor divides her like work life from her personal life, and how she doesn't need to, like, when she's not on the job, she can be kind and hang out with witches all she wants. She feels pity towards them.
Not personal,
And
kid.
it is yet another character that ties into this theme that's been running since all the way back in early Higurashi, minor Higurashi spoilers, about the theme of having two selves inside of you.
Inside of you there are two wolves.
Instead of you, there's two wolves. Or more than two wolves, I guess.
Oh, that also goes back to Jeska and how she literally says, well, I'm two people. I'm the Jeska and at home
Yeah.
and the Jeska at school.
Jessica at home.
You can have like multiple selves inside yourself, and there doesn't necessarily need to be one true self. And that is brought back all the way back in episode 1, Legend of the Golden Witch, with Maria and Jessica's explanation of it. And Dolinor just adds to the pile of characters that make it sure that the reader knows that this is an important theme. Don't just ignore this.
Yeah, nice
Yeah.
point. No, now I want to go back to one part of the chapter where there's a red truth that becomes unusable. The red
The
truth
window should have had the rain. The window couldn't have been open.
The window was never opened after it was raining.
Okay. Oh, it's the scene where they are getting tortured, and they're like, "We can't use that red truth." Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I gave Cornelia, who was protecting the window, the red truth that the window was never opened after it started raining.
Okay, so there was the red truth that the window was never open, and then as Butler was rushing into Cornelia, the use of that red truth became forbidden, and that's why she couldn't block Butler's tackle. And what does this mean? Does this mean Wamda changed the story on the fly?
It means that they're framing Natsuhi, because they wanted Kinzo to escape, and so Lambda pulled some strings to make it so that Kinzo could still exist.
So Wamda changed the story on the fly, right?
Yes, she was just like, nope, you can't say that. You can't say that word. Nope, you can't do it.
She did the EP6 thing, except she did it well, and she didn't go into a logic error.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I just wanted to check that was what happened, because I think this is what happened, but this is kind of major.
Lambda not letting Cornelia use that red truth is literally like when you're playing D&D and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go check farther into this room. And DM's like, no, you can't do that because this. Nope, you cannot check back there. The Wizard of Oz is hiding behind the curtain. You can't do it. I won't let you.
Okay, that's cool. So like the mystery side was dude. I guess this means the witch side was winning in Wamda's perspective. So she pulled some strings for the mystery side to keep the balance in check.
No, because Beatrice was about to be executed. Like.
That's true. Yeah, she was just doing it for shits and giggles. You're right.
But Erica can't use the red truth because of Nox's second, and because Erica, as a human, is trying to like prove that. I guess that Natsuhi is cheating with Kenzo. I guess that's her goal. She just wants. That's just the answer that they make up, basically.
Erica's just completely out of the loop
Yeah,
to burn in
and-
Lambda's plans.
But I think Lambda was just like, no, trust me, it'll be really funny later if you let me do this. And
Yes.
Bird was just like, you know what? Sure, let her cook.
Let her cook. And I also think this counts as wanting to like one up Bern, because she's literally leading Bern onto thinking she's on the right track, where she's completely off track. So Wamda is getting 2 wins for the price of 1. She's winning over Bern and laughing at her face for thinking she was right, and also, you know, just generally having a good time and fun with the interactions of the characters and seeing Natsuhi fucking break down. Yeah, I used to think Bern was the most cruel one, but clearly Lambda is the most cruel one.
That's not true.
Lambda was literally like, "Ayo, Angie, you remember when Bird told you couldn't tell Battler you were his sister? I could just let you do that. Just come to my side."
Just join my team.
They're better together. That's when they're at their most cruel.
I can make her worse.
They're both bad influences on each other.
That's
Yes.
literally what that relationship is. It's almost the worst feedback loop, except that's the idea. They're both doing it
This is
intentionally.
literally kismicissitude. I'm just gonna let that statement lie there.
Okay, then I guess that also explains one little problem I had with this chapter, which was that Bern and Wamda's discussion over the trick with Ginzo, it just felt so weak as a rereader, because their arguments felt like very trivial when you can just explain everything by the detective didn't see it, so anything goes. But then it makes sense that, yeah, they could just go with it, but that wouldn't be as fun as trying to frame Natsuhi.
Yeah, they're here for content, not for the truth.
It's also, I think, the fact that they're humiliating Erica, or Lambda in particular, is just getting the most fun in the world out of saying everything in red about the knock in the letter, and just Erica not figuring out that there never was a knock.
How do we feel about that? Like, I got to like the beginning of EP7, and I'm like, okay, I've solved pretty much everything that I feel like I need to solve. But what's up with that knock? What the hell?
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, I think about the fact that, like, the answer to the knock is, like, how did you get rid of the knock? It's like, well, the knock never happened. Everybody in that room was lying, and they just agreed upon the fact that there was a knock and there's a letter, which is, like, the most absurd thing possible. But I feel like it's a logical conclusion from EP4, where basically every single person was lying to you anyway, or lying to you in a different degree.
I think the issue is that most people have not solved EP4 by the time they go into EP5.
True.
True. That is...
Wait, what the fuck? Now I have the same problem, but with different scene. With the
What
knock
was it?
scene. Like, why was Erika struggling so much? She knows she's the detective, and anything can happen out of her sight.
Yeah, but just because you can say anything can happen doesn't immediately mean everything that happens off screen doesn't happen. Like,
Well, but it...
you could just be like, okay, well, Natsuhi didn't go in the closet because you didn't see it. Like,
But like, it would be such a less convoluted answer to just say there was never a lock. There never was. Fucking hell, there never was a knock, and the people in the room just agreed to say there was, than to like come up with a fucking pillar in the second floor.
you really think people would do that? Just go on the game board and lie?
Usually in like classic detective stories, there's like one person who does the murder, and maybe like there's like 2 accomplices at most. And like I think like Agatha Christie also did this as well. There's spoilers for Oriental Express, but Oriental Express is the whole idea. Is like every single person you meet ends up, you know, being a part of the murder. Like every single person on the train is a murderer. Like, you know, and they did it for a good reason. But like it's the same idea as like in here, because when you're reading a mystery or if you're entering a scene like this, you won't immediately assume like, oh, every single person is playing against me and they're all conspiring to like, you know, fuck me up. Like, you know, in what like scenario would you think like, oh yeah, everybody was lying to me this time all the time? Like, it's like the same idea where everybody talks about the fact of like, how does Canon and Shannon get away with the fact that being like, you know, they're literally the same person? Like, how could people have not noticed them? It's like, well, when you meet two people who look really alike, your first thought is not like, oh shit, like they're the same person. Like, I don't just meet twins and think that. Like, I think like, oh, they're twins or they're siblings. Like, you know, even if they have the exact same vibe. Like, you know, I know these two people in my club who are like literally identical because they're siblings, and everybody think they're twins, but they're like actually 2 years apart, and they have like the same vibe, they talk the same, and like you're just like, this is really confusing. And especially if you're wearing like a face mask, which we do in school, like you can't even really tell the difference. It's like you only can like get it like the way how they respond, and you're like, oh, it's you again. It's like, I don't know. I think it's kind of fascinating because, you know, they don't have to be the master of disguise to be good at being two people at the same time. And it's just like the same idea is that you don't have to actually say that ridiculous of a lie for people to think like, oh, there must have been a knock or there must have been a letter. Like, you know.
So what you're saying is Eric and Bern just got to know Vision and forgot to take into account the fact that
I think
there could just not be enough.
I think Lambda's just being really, really mean to Erica, and she deserves all of it.
Also, you think Bern is aware that Eric is getting to know Vision, and she's just playing along with it to see if she can find an answer within Erica's tunnel visioning?
I think she refuses to reason on her own because she's already reasoning, but it's much funnier if her piece fails.
I like to imagine, that's what I mean by I like to imagine that Bern is actually a dum-dum and she's just really bad at reasoning.
Yeah, that's what I've been realizing for this episode, but I guess she could just be fucking around with Erica.
No, I truly believe that she's fucking stupid. This is why EP7...
She brute forced the epitaph. She's like, yeah, I saw it 100 times and I figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bern brute forced the epitaph, didn't even bother to solve the heart of Beatrice in EP7, hired somebody else to do it that wasn't her own OC. Like, you know what I mean? I actually really dislike the whole conceptual idea of people being like, Bern is so smart. It's like, no, she's stupid as fuck. It's literally why the first person she decides to back is Battler, which she did nothing to help him with, and then basically just like watched him flail around, and then just got mad at him, was like, well, he failed, and then basically invited Angie on the board thinking she was gonna help, and then Angie, they just like fucked around, and then they were like, oh, Angie is now mincemeat, I guess that didn't work out after all, invited her own OC, didn't solve shit, got like completely humiliated, played a second round, also got even worse, even worse now, and then like by EP7 she's like, I'll just hire a dude to help me do the business. Like, there's the plumber. He's coming.
I'll hire a professional mystery reader.
That's what I was going to say, is that if you think about how many years it took for Rika, and Rika had no freaking clue who was behind her demise.
But Higurashi was not meant to be solved by Rika.
Exactly.
Umineko is meant to be solved by Butler.
But Umineko is not meant to be solved by Bern, because Lambda backs Beato because it's specifically something Bern is, like, weak to in the realm of mysteries.
Yeah, because Bern is a dum-dum.
But it's solvable.
It's solvable, but I don't think it's solvable for Bern.
It's harder for Bern than it is for Butler. Maybe. I don't know if that's even true.
I think Bern skips all the magic scenes. And Umineko is very, very hard to solve, skipping all the magic scenes.
She doesn't skip them, she just chooses to ignore them.
Because she literally sees the scene with Natsuhi talking with Kinzo and Beatrice earlier in this episode, and she's like, alright, I get it, so it's just Natsuhi, moving on. She's sitting alone and she's sad. Like,
she's like, haha,
okay,
very funny.
True.
But yeah, this is my Bern is a dum-dum theory, and I'm going to be the champion of it, and I think...
No, I subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah, like, I feel like it's definitely gonna be more obvious once we get to, like, EP6, because, like, especially EP7, like, she's just, like, not worried about it. The only reason why people think Bern is smart and cool is because Byrne is the type of person that even if she was losing poorly, like, she wouldn't show it. Like, she just looks very composed. She was
exactly.
Yes, ke kakudori. And I was like, bitch, nothing has been according to your plan. Like, like it's like her looking at Erica crawling on the ground. It was like, this is what I intended all along, for you to suffer. And it's like, no, you didn't. You wanted her to win, you dingus.
Byrne is an expert gaslighter, and her greatest victim is herself.
But yeah, is there anything else in the spoiler section we want to talk about?
Yes, of course. I've only begun my thoughts.
Yes, Des.
Yeah, you want to talk about the closet? I think it's really funny that the only reason Natsuhi doesn't come out of the closet, it's because there's a man in the way. What a good metaphor for Eva and Natsuhi, huh?
Good.
I have now subscribed to Eva X Natsuhi.
I mean, I wanted to say I never like caught wind of the when Natsuhi was like, "How did the guy on the phone know that fall was my favorite thing? The only person I told was Shannon," and I was like, "Oh wow,
That's so
now
stupid.
I get it." Dumb,
I hate that.
dumb
That's
and
the worst.
stupid.
It totally undermines the entire trick.
And then it turns
Is that Shannon already supposedly knew what her favorite season was. Why do you include that scene, Ryukishi?
and then they made it a red truth too. It's like the only person I told was Shannon. Ever.
Fuck. It can be done without that.
And it's fucking irrelevant.
yeah.
It's literally like a Higurashi like red herring of like her just like continually compounding on her paranoia against like the servants. And it's like, I see, Shannon's betrayed me. She's the only one that knew. It must be her.
I guess to be fair, it works.
Instead of like, no, there was winter like behind my clock. Or actually, it was behind the clock. Oh well. I don't think Sayo's in the room. I think Hideyoshi walks in the room,
Fakes a death.
fakes his death, and then Erica does not see the body. They cover it in a sheet, and they have a bloody sheet go past Erica. That's all.
Yeah, Erica once again does not use her detective authority to do anything useful. Literally, just like before, she could have just checked the bodies.
But it's really funny, because the reason she's doing it is because she's like, no, there's no way a mystery that uses this trick to explain why the corpses were actually not corpses could be worth my time, so I'm not gonna even check it, because if this is a trick, this is a cheap mystery. There's no way they could pull this off.
That's why she course corrects so hard in EP6, and it's like, I killed them myself. I made sure they were dead.
She's so salty at her own incompetence.
I also realized something earlier that may come up if we ever do the authorship episode for the game board. We know that Lambda likes to connect with the characters on a deeper level, and she calls the pieces bowling pins to be knocked over in this chapter. But I think that might be like a little bit of a front, because if you actually look at this chapter, the only person that dies during the course of the game is Kraus, which is very similar to Battler's game where he doesn't kill anyone. Like,
Wait,
Well, eventually,
no,
everyone
they
dies.
die
unless you mean-
eventually,
Throughout the course of what actually happens.
but during the course of the game, Kraus is the only one that died.
So then when Vergiria confirms the death of the corpses, is she just pulling a personality trick?
I think
No,
I don't
okay.
know.
it's either regarding the bomb, which I don't know why it's armed. I still haven't figured that out. Or it's talking about the real world where they are actually dead. Like the difference between in-game and out-of-game.
No, I think it is the way I interpreted it when I read it is that because these pieces that have quote-unquote died will not affect anything else in the game board, even if they aren't actually dead, their role is as if they are corpses from this point onward, because they will not affect the game board anymore.
Yeah, because she does proclaim the 5 victims of the first Twilight. That's always so strange to me, but it's meant to be. So,
Yeah, and it uses this red trick is using the time frame trick of the EP3 red web.
Wait, they literally say it in that part that they're like, this place, there is no time in this gap, like this place connects to all time, but no time passes here. So in that gap, it can be at any time. They literally say it.
Ah, what the hell? Wait, is that does the red truth? Is the red
That's
truth?
in the text. That's not Red Truth, but that's like explaining Gap's magic.
But okay, but Gaps magic. Okay, but the time when Vergilia used the red truth, are they in that?
Yes. It's right before that.
Oh, it's before that. It's not.
It's in the same scene.
Place, but it's not. Are they already in the no time place?
Yes.
No way. Let me find
Vergilia
that
goes.
thing.
Let me see if I can find it.
No fucking way.
That's so cool.
Because Ryukishi didn't even need to do that, because by this point the story is well past the point where the corpses would have just gotten up and walked out, so they might as well be dead.
I'll also briefly say that Beatrice asks the same question that Des asked, like, I think 2 book clubs ago, which is, why is Gap hiding the bodies? That's not going to help Natsuhi.
Yeah, I was so thankful. Thank you for explaining it to me. It does not help take the sus out of Natsuhi until you factor in the fact that just makes it impossible for Natsuhi to have moved the bodies.
Okay, I found it. That place was nowhere in this world and existed at no time of this world. In other words, it truly and literally was a place not of this world. In this place, questions such as where is this and what time is it have no meaning. Every single place led to here, but no place could be reached from here. Furthermore, all times connected to this place, but no time could be passed to from here.
Okay, so the time frame of the red truth is just irrelevant. Ryukishi could have used this red truth outside the time gap, but I guess this works too.
Ryukishi's is an evil man with evil intentions.
No, he just did not have the need to go this far to use this red truth specifically. But I guess this just makes it easier to digest.
I don't understand why Vergilia is like, yes, I will confirm the deaths of the corpses in red. Because they're not using red truth in the trial anyway? Really? They're using, like, human red truth? Like, from seals and stuff?
No, that's in EP6.
No, because they also do it in this one. Because, you know, there's the scene of Erica crawling around all the buildings like a gremlin. And...
No, that's EP6.
No,
right?
Because she only gets 3 duct tapes in EP6, but she gets, like, infinite in EP5.
What?
It's in the scene where, in the Great Court of Illusions, where you're just like, hey... Erica's, like, actually legitimately unhinged. She sat and looked at a door for 3 hours without blinking. She stayed up all night with her ear up to the cousin's room wall, and nothing happened. She crawled around the building and put duct tape seals in a typhoon on the windows.
In a swimsuit.
In a swimsuit.
In a Scooby, yeah, exactly.
You're right. We haven't gotten there. That's why I didn't know. But
that's fair.
Fine. Thank you.
Erica is so unhinged in the funniest way possible. Like, girl, just really, really out there. You know, I really don't know what kind of crack Ryukishi was on when he wrote this character. Like, I really don't understand.
I like how freaking Ryukishi was originally gonna write Vergilius. As the Erica, and be like a rival who would lead Battler astray, but still like be trying to solve the mystery with love and stuff. Because in the like after party where they have that, he literally says that without love it can't be seen. And so I'm just like, so is Erica just evil Vergilius? Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna solve the mystery, be really bad at it, and have no love, as opposed to I'm gonna lead you away from the mystery, be really good at it, and see things with love.
I'd like to talk about the closet a little bit more. First of all, I think we all feel like we're in agreement that it's Hideyoshi putting on an act, which Ava was probably also a good actor with her reaction to this death.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about, there's a line that Natsuhi says around the same time. She's talking about, oh, I told Shannon about the season, which is fucking stupid. She talks about how her being locked in the closet reminds her of a punishment that she once gave to a young Jessica.
Do you think this was Jessica's idea?
Yeah, do you think Jessica is in on this? On this plan to like get her to reflect on her actions and admit to her crime of 19 years ago?
I think all the cousins are in on the let's troll Erica plan, but none of them are in on the let's like blackmail Natsuhi.
Yeah, except for Butler, maybe because of the phone calls.
I don't think Battler would go along with it though.
But I was on the same train as you, Pokey, but then I remember that literally every scene that Jessica has, like regarding her parents, and it's a serious scene, she doesn't feel like vengeful towards them. She every time her parents die, she's like really fucking
sad about it.
Angry. I don't think she hates her parents. Otherwise, she wouldn't be as angry, I think.
I don't think, because murders haven't happened for Jessica, as far as she knows, that she might be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get her real good, but...
I don't know. I don't think Jessica would suggest, like, hey, instead of just sending my mother to a room, why don't we have her sit in a wardrobe?
No.
I just want to clarify, at the end of VP5, we'll have an actual episode where we go over everything and decide on a final explanation.
Will it be a book club, or will it just be a smoking room?
Book club, yeah, like we always...
Yeah, I think everybody is a little bit too scattered in their remembrance of EP5 while they're also reading through EP5 again. So I feel like we don't actually have a very good consensus of what we think how all the tricks in EP5 are done. This is like the same problem we have about the fact of being like, is Hideyoshi fake dead or real dead? It's like, this is a clear fake dead part, but who's fake deading? Who knows he's fake dying? And like, where the fuck is Grouse? Like, you know.
I think everyone
Yes.
except Erika knows he's fake dead. Everyone except Erika and Natsuhi. Because Erika doesn't know, because she doesn't know that the cousins are dead. Look, alright, I did think of like, okay, everyone at the family conference is in on it, because that's where they would have been able to talk about it. But like, then... Maybe Maria was just like, you know, let's troll that new girl. Let's all act like we're dead.
Yeah, Maria, Jessica, and George, in addition to all the people at and I think Genji, all have to be in on it, in addition to the people that were at the conference, at least for the first Twilight to be pulled off.
Balor has to know because he just walks into the room full of corpses and then he has to pretend that they're all corpses. And then Erika doesn't come to check if they're corpses or not. So
It's also stupid because why would they wait to set this up until before Battler goes in the room? It's as if they know that Erika's listening in on them.
Saya was at the family conference, right? But I'm wondering if it was Maria who drew the magic circle in that case. But because it would look better if it were Maria. But like, it's made a point that it looks like really garbage. Like,
it looks really garbage.
Erika complimented it.
there's just like scribbles on it instead of like the actual like Hebrew script. And Maria would not like slack off on that.
I think that's just the way they describe it.
Oh no, Jessica was the one who drew it. Jessica was just like, hey, I think I can draw this. And like, Maria hands her a piece of paper. She copies it really poorly. And Maria's like, yeah, that one sucked, but whatever. It's gonna do.
Where did they get the paint? Where did they get the paint?
I have so many questions. Ryukishi, I have so many questions.
Because like from the time that the family conference started to the time that they woke up in the morning, they couldn't have left the guest house. So, like, because Erika was downstairs and at their wall. So I don't... Did they just, like, bring a paint bucket with them to the guest house when they went the first time?
We'll discuss this later, it's fine. We'll think about it individually or in group, and then at the end of EP5 we'll actually
We'll
give
have
our
something.
explanations and discuss them in full. For now... Because otherwise we're just consuming the time of the chapters of this episode in
That's
specific.
true.
My last point to bring up is just that if we are going by the idea that we can use a vegetative Beato to infer things about Toya... Yeah, Toya. I was gonna say Toko, fucking book girl brain rot.
But girl.
To infer things about Toya, since, you know, both of them are tied to a chair,
Yes.
kinda in a vegetative state, both of them write the hearts of the story, and like we can basically take Beato like finally standing up from her vegetative state and trying to, you know, get back in the game, possibly to die, to infer that this is the point in time where Toya starts like after attempting suicide and failing and getting stuck to a wheelchair, finally like starts trying to actually remember what happened so that he can finally stop living in this purgatory of a state of mind and finally actually die as Toya and have Butler come back in, or give up on Butler and choosing to live as Toya.
Yeah, I could see it. I do feel like the end of EP5 is definitely when Toya like gets enough of his memories back to be like, I remember, because well, obvious. Does not need explanation. I also think for all the BS tricks that EP5 kind of pulls with Shikanon,
Yeah.
The trick at the end of Closet 2 is really good. It's not even a trick, just the little bit where Erica's like, "You close the door," and it says the next line is Shannon and Cannon close the door. Like,
Yes.
What the fuck? Does this work in other languages? Like in languages where
Probably.
plural you and singular you are different?
Time to find out about it. Could you send me the exact shot where it happens, and I'll go find the Japanese version of it.
I don't understand, because in that scene, it's not like they could just be like, "Oh, Cannon's somewhere else," because they're literally like, "We need to stick together as a group." Erica has seen both Shannon and Cannon, not at the same time. That's fine. She can't be seeing Shannon and Cannon here, and there's no way the group would split up after Rudolph was literally just like, "Okay, we need to stick together. Come on, kids, let's go."
So what's the problem here? I don't understand.
There's an alleged murderer on the loose, and they're still okay with Shannon and Cannon with allegedly probably Cannon just being in some other part of the mansion on his own, by the adult's perspective. So there's a scene earlier in EP5 where it goes around the parlor, and Erica's like, "Everyone on the island is in this room right now."
Yeah.
And you see Shannon and Cannon both there, but we're seeing the scene from Battler's perspective. So,
Yeah.
which implies that Peace Erica knows that Cannon or Shannon doesn't exist, but player Erica doesn't. But then in like the manga, the answer they gave us like, "Oh yeah, we just didn't tell you Cannon was like preparing a room upstairs or something," and that's really BS. But then at the end of EP5's, at the end of Closet 2, in the parlor, they have a very similar scene where Shannon and Cannon are both there, so obviously something's off, but no one questions where Cannon is because he's there. Like, did Cannon just die off screen as far as they're concerned? Like,
I don't get what's the problem.
Erica interacts with both Cannon and Shannon separately, and then she's in the room with one of them and says everyone on the island is in this room right now.
What the fuck? Yeah, she's seeing either Shannon or Cannon.
Maybe Erica is like me, where I figured out that Shannon and Cannon were the same person, but then I was like, okay, but who's the culprit?
That's literally, I was reading my notes yesterday and I'm like, so, Shannon equals Cannon equals Beatrice, but are they the culprit?
Erica's like thinks it's so obvious that they're the same person. Obviously, episode 6 kind of discounts this.
No, she can't have figured Cannon.
She can, but it'd be funny if she did.
She couldn't have figured Cannon out. Yeah, I don't. I honestly like the idea that this is assembling of pieces, and that it doesn't actually matter if she could see them or not. Like, that part has already not been reality.
Yeah, that's a good explanation.
Yeah, as soon as we leave the game board, everything turns into a fantasy scene.
Editing Death Drone striking this episode again to inform you that this is in reference to a point as Corey had made earlier in regards to this bit of a problem about Erika mentioning how everyone in the island is gathered in this room, even though she's only perceiving either Shannon or Cannon. Their idea was that this is actually a meta scene disguised as a game board scene, because similarly to how Erika would have the detective's authority, she would have the power to call an assembly where she's on a meta layer assembling all of the pieces to assess the situation. So that would be how they would explain Erika being in the same room as Shannon and Cannon and perceiving both of them separately. It's because it's a meta scene. Back to the episode. And also, what an amazing fucking thought, as Corey. What a great way to get over this. It's better than the retcon answer Ryukishi came up with on the manga.
Also, just for future references, I found this amazing Umineko project GitHub where it stores all of the languages between like Chinese, Japanese, like Korean or like Russian scripts of this. So that's what I'm looking for, the exact word.
I wish there was a Portuguese version so that I could check what they used, because we have different versions for singular and plural.
I could try the French one. I speak a little bit, but
I don't know how I would do this.
Like, how would you even translate it?
Although the French version would just be, you have an S at the end. So
I guess I would just rewrite it in a way that would translate to English as the door, like someone close the door, please. And then Canon and Shannon just reply yes at the same time or something, just so I can avoid using the pronoun. Because is it you? You is a pronoun, right? I'm
I don't
fucking
think
dumb.
so.
So I
You
could
is a
avoid
pronoun.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I would go about it.
I mean, it is a clue. Like, to be fair.
But in English, you is singular and plural.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
That's why it works well there.
English is
Yeah.
a bad language made for bad people.
Yeah.
The Virgin English that needs so many words just to provide context versus the Japanese where you just say apple or something. I read it in a book. I don't actually know.
Thanks, Des. Des, I read it in a book. Sorry, it will take me some time to find this, so we could talk about something else while I'm continuously scrolling and making more things for myself to do later on to edit out every single click I did.
Or me. Thank you, Mushroom.
I'm so sorry, Des. I suck.
When they cry lightning strikes are interesting, because we have the second one in this chapter. It is interesting that, like, whenever a higher being, like, communicates with a lower plane, there's a lightning strike. That's consistent.
Oh. So what? So do you think Baron just gave Erika the verbal trashing of her life, and that's
Yeah.
why she went from "I solved it" to "I'm just gonna eat"?
Like a puppet with her
Strings
strings
cut off.
No, I think Horsefly said something yesterday that was like, of just falling back on that phrase when it doesn't apply. Like, he stood up like a puppet without his strings cut.
Oh, that was me.
With its strings restored.
Oh, that was you? Okay.
Yeah, the thing with the lightning strike reminds me of something called I'm looking it up now. It's paranatural.
Paranatural?
I haven't read it in a long time, so I don't know where it's at now. But
Is
there's
it like a natural phenomenon that appears paranormal because of, like...
yeah, it's like paranormal / supernatural, paranatural, and in it there's like a power system where it's basically like ghosts possessing objects, and you can talk to your ghost, but the conversation goes by super fast for everyone else, but at normal pace for you. So from an outsider's perspective, you're just like zooming around, like gesturing to nobody. And I like to imagine that happens during the lightning strike for Erika.
Yeah. Like, everything just gets lit by, like, backlit by the lightning strike, and, like, they just didn't notice. Although, also, the detective's authority appears to make people forget things. Because, like, the first time I read the scene where everyone's like, you know, that we must just be really tired, I was like, yeah, that's a reasonable reaction to Erika-ing.
No, I think they're just like, okay, can we all acknowledge this bitch is crazy? Let's just ignore her shenanigans.
But then it says, like, as the memory started to fade from their mind. So, like, I don't know, maybe Erika doing weird meta things is protected by the detective's authority. And that, like, she can say and do things that are not acceptable.
You think so? I think it does happen, but I think it does still happen, but like from a game board perspective, it just looks like someone having a Chuni moment.
Yeah. Damn, we have Erika with a pirate hat. I need Erika with an eye patch.
Which eye do you think she like closed it up? Do you think it's the eye that she has her sans eye thing, or it's the other eye? Or do you think she like puts an eye patch on her sans eye until she does her cool detective reasoning and she takes off her sans eye patch for her to have sans eyes?
Yeah, it's her all-seeing eye of truth.
So, while everybody was talking, I end up finding this scene in like 2 different languages. So the original scene in English says, "Could you close the door for me?" and then say, "Yes, Shannon can close the door." And it has double quotation marks because there's 2 people replying to it. In both Chinese and Japanese, the line just says, "Can, like close the door, please." Like that's kind of like the sentence of this. It says, 可否帮忙把那扇门关上 or その扉閉めて like as in like both of these quotes don't involve any person in it. Like you don't, instead of saying like could you, it just says please close the door, like question mark, and that's it. Like so neither of them involve like having to refer to a person.
Yeah. Now we need someone who knows Russian to tell us what the Russian side says.
Yeah. this is an incredibly useful resource. It's the Umineko project, Umineko scripting. I will put it right here. So the good thing about it is that if you want to find any line in here, because this is a GitHub project where it's basically script, you find the exact line in English. For example, you find it at Umineko 513 txt file, and it's like at line 176 or something. You go and find it on any other line. It's always the exact same sentence.
Nice.
So you don't have to look for too far.
Amazing. Oh, okay.
It's really useful.
Well, is that all? Does anyone have any more thoughts?
What's PT? Des.
Huh?
What's PT?
Portuguese?
Is this
I
Portuguese?
guess. I don't know. PT usually means Portuguese.
Well, click on it.
Oh, on the... Okay. Well, we didn't provide any context. You think I'm Japanese?
Oh, sorry. No, because it has.
Okay, so where's it? What's the number of the line? Fucking.
It's on
864.
13. It's Umineko 513. It's line 867. 867.
867. Wait, it ends at 801.
What? No, Umineko. Okay, no, Umineko 513. Or 5.
I'll just fucking stream it again. Okay, this is probably Brazilian. In Brazilian.
That's getting mad at the fact that me finally finding a Portuguese language translation for Des getting mad, being like, this is the wrong Portuguese at home. We have Portuguese at home.
What ending to an arc?
That was a very weird tangent, but language is funny.
Yeah. So is this the end of the episode?
I don't know. Do we have anything else?
Not me.
Please, if anyone sees the red truth that Natsuhi only told Sharon about her favorite season, please correct them. That's not a good place to stop reasoning.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us for the book club. Until next time, see cats, do crimes, toodaloo. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
And scene.